Yeah, so I do have a video coming on both EasyCAD and Lightburn. It's in the edit queue right now. Essentially, setting up a custom rotary table is not super hard. You're telling the software how frequently your angle is changing, or rather what the angle is changing for every change.
Because the piece of wood that I cut with the 2-inch was a really primo piece of material. Like, if you're cutting MDF and you're cutting stuff that's glued together and it's the cheap stuff.
The wood isn't the problem, it's the glue.
It's hitting glue. Dude, there was literally one time where I found like a piece of aluminum inside of one.
I just saw you got a new video up over there, Michael. What's that one on?
Yeah, that one is how to make circles look like circles on cups.
That's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
Oh,
Yeah,
I just went through that.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I gotta watch that.
It's a great episode, and it's exactly the kind of that we're used to seeing from Michael over at Laser Engraving 911. So go subscribe to that right away. You can either search it at Laser Engraving 911, I believe, or we have a link to his channel on our channel homepage as well. So make sure you see that. Something inside me saying I really don't think I'm strong enough. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Laser Source Podcast. It's Alex, and I've got a whole bunch of clowns with me tonight. Kyle, Boyce, Matt, and of course Michael over at Laser Engraving 911. What's up, guys? How you doing?
Right.
What up?
I love
Chilling.
it.
It's a Tuesday night.
Just explain to the guys, we're doing a big Q&A today, so we're here to answer all your questions. I want to definitely take some time. We're interested, a lot of people in the LMA were asking questions about which laser to get, which is like a super basic thing. I feel like it's discussed all the time, but not in an easy to find place. So I want to make sure we cover that sooner than later in the episode, so we can point people to this episode
I have a document
as a reference. Yeah, I know you're working on a whole episode about that, which I want to get out really soon too. Other than that, it's your questions, guys. So if you've got questions, we've got answers. And I know I can't scroll because I can't touch anything.
We do got a new member to the YouTube membership. So.
I know there were already a couple questions in chat, so we're going to be off to a nice hot start today.
Okay, let me scroll to the top.
I'm going to have to reset my computer. So I'll be right back, and I'm going to leave you in the company with these wonderful gentlemen right here. Enjoy the beginning of the show, and I will be back in a few minutes.
Okay, so
I love.
Can I just say how much Michael looks like Willy Wonka and how much I love it?
I got a better. It's Willy Wonka had a baby with Rob Zombie and became a DJ.
Nice.
That's right.
That's it.
Right.
Yeah. Who raves on Tuesday nights to share?
I'm just trying to do my PSA for laser safety, man. You know, I figured I just got these in the mail the other day. They're fresh, they're clean, they're not scratched or beat up.
Fresh and so clean.
And I'm just doing a PSA for wear your goggles, be safe.
They do look nice.
Heck yeah.
All right, so we got our first question here. That
throw it up
guy.
there.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm on a FTC robotics team. We're looking to buy a laser cutter to cut aluminum parts for our robots. Our budget is almost at most $10K, and we'd like at least 18-inch by 18-inch of work area. Any recommendations?
That's
a
tough one. I don't have a huge recommendation, but I can tell you that's a really tight budget for a cutter, and even a small one, because you're going to have ongoing costs that are related to a fiber cutter. You will usually be probably using some kind of oxygen, nitrogen, CO2. They use additional gases pressurized in order to do what they do. So just the cost of the machine is only part of what you're going to be looking at there. And actually reading down, I see somebody said something similar. But yeah, I mean, a small fiber cutter will handle that, but you're going to have to, I don't know how your budget works, like where the money's coming from and how it can be paid out, but you're going to have reoccurring costs, not just the machine costs. So you're going to be getting tanks filled and delivered.
Operating costs.
Yeah, there's going to be delivery fees. There's probably delivery fees. There's going to be fees for the actual gas fill. And
aluminum requires not the oxygen. It's going to need the nitrogen, which is the expensive stuff. So just if you're just cutting mostly aluminum, just assume that you're going to be paying for nitrogen.
The last time I looked in my area, I don't remember the size of the tank, but it was like a normal standard size tank. It was like $500.
How many gallons you want?
And Michael, how fast would that go?
It really depends on how you're feeding your speed, what you're cutting. It really depends on the thickness. But yeah, the other option is, I'm not sure because I'm not a plasma table guy, but I'm not sure if plasma will do aluminum without too much slag, but you might want to explore a small plasma table and see if that's even a possibility for cutting aluminum, because that you could probably get a lot closer to 10K. And I don't believe you need the nitrogen. You just have to use high pressure air or oxygen. So check that out. Look into that.
Good tip.
You're not going to get those fiber laser sharp edged fine detailed cuts. You'll get good cuts. You're gonna have a lot of finish work afterwards, cleaning it up.
Is there a thing?
Good belt sander or something?
Is there such a thing as like a aluminum diamond tipped scroll saw bit? Like you could scroll
like a CNC.
Yeah, CNC router can cut through aluminum. You can get a flat CNC router with aluminum bits.
Yes,
not for 10K.
No, unless there's a downturn in the market and they sell them because they're going out of business.
Yeah.
Belinda, she says she was watching where you were cutting out the stickers from your alloy business cards and you had them raised off the bottom of the bed. Why is this? I've seen others do it. They just had them sitting flat. I don't know why Alex did that. Maybe just would just fall off when he's done.
Probably didn't want flashback. Maybe
yeah,
on the
flashback's a thing. When we look at the CO2 world, right, where we're cutting on honeycomb or on the knife table, part of it is for airflow underneath so that there's no flashback coming back up at it. It also allows the part to fall through. And when you have a material right up against something that's being cut, it inherently doesn't want to cut as nicely as well. I don't know if it's just the flashback, but there's also like...
It depends on like my honeycomb. I noticed that when the laser goes through, it's actually, it's bouncing off that metal, like reflecting it. And it kind of gives me those little notches every honeycomb it crosses type of deal.
I've noticed that usually means you got to clean it too. One of the things that, have you guys ever noticed that if you clean it, that goes away the flare?
Oh, from the honeycomb?
Or the blades. So literally, hey, he's back. So literally one of the things, especially if you do acrylic, a lot of times it's like melt. And so what's happening is it actually flares. So like when you're cutting acrylic, it'll melt onto the metal. And so when the beam pushes through, it'll flare up underneath because that's what it does. Like it's kind of flammable. And then, or if it's not flammable, it'll char at least. And then that char has to go somewhere. So it kind of, so if you don't have it covered, like if you don't have the two-sided acrylic with cover on both sides, no good.
Michael from chat also has a good point. Keeps the burning off the bed and material directly below the cards. Yeah, I'm OCD about keeping my beds clear of markings as much as possible. And it's a good point too.
Okay, Belinda, what would be the options for holding jigs to raise the material off the bottom? She was the one that asked about your card cutting when you did the stickers.
Oh yeah,
and she said why is it raised and stuff like that.
She wanted to know why you did that.
That was the Panavice, which is really great. That's a microchip holder, so it's like two little arms that come in from the sides and grab things, which is really nice. They make one, a big one and a little one. So whether you're
is that on our buying guide?
Yeah, sure it is. Yeah, the Panavice, it must be, and it's dope. You should check it out. They're cheap. Michael had the OG Panavice, and now I've got an OG. I've got every attachment for it. I've got like 2 juniors and a couple attachments for the juniors that they make now. So basically the Panavice is the answer to that. You have to level your stuff. It's not like a hard jig, of course, and you can move it, but it's so good at just holding things, and it can move like every possible angle you could want.
Once we found the Panavice back in our early days, it was like a game changer. Like Panavice. Yeah. Get one. If you don't have one, get one.
Yeah, I'm looking that up right now myself.
It is on the buying guide under tools.
Excellent.
And there's the mini and there's the big guy, right?
Gotcha.
Which is the juniors. It's the big guy is better though. It's got more attachments for the head. And basically my favorite thing about that when it comes to holding material is the microchip holder, which again is like an additional $20 or $30, and it's aluminum, so it sinks the heat away really well while you're cutting, and you can get them like nice and tight or keep them loose depending on what you need. So they're great. They're really, really great. I highly recommend that.
Shane says, I'm totally new to all this. My wife and I have jobs, and Laser World is just starting with a Boss Laser 24.
Whoa, Boss Laser.
There goes Matt. No. Word. Welcome aboard.
5 minutes later, there it is.
Also, Hamilton,
Hamilton
said, hey, y'all, just joined. Thanks for the interesting talk. Got my 50-watt fiber in the shop, and we'll start to dive in on Thursday. I appreciate the content that y'all put out for noobs like me. That's what we're here to do, man.
Let's give him a recommendation for the first videos he should start then.
Well, dude, one of the crash courses, whether you're going
Or
easy
both.
to or
For sure.
Lightburn for Galvo, we have a crash course for both. And the links to both of those playlists are available on the channel homepage.
Nice.
Definitely start with one of those if you haven't already.
Well, Blonde Fox said, "Hello, Elvis 911." She has the same class.
Well, thank you very much.
Mike C said, in reference to the person who's looking at the fiber cutter for their aluminum parts, he mentions you can get a Shipoko HDM CNC router for under $6K,
Nice.
which maybe that might be another cost-effective option to consider.
That's something I know very little about.
Same.
Yeah, and with CNC routers, and there's always going to be a consumable on any machine, and with those, it's going to be your bits.
Your bits.
So make sure you look into how much and how often you have to replace metal, carbide, aluminum cutting bits, because that will be a cost. Obviously, you get cheap bits, you're going to be replacing them all the time. You get expensive bits, you're going to pay more, but maybe they last longer. So make sure you look at bits.
And you're going to be paying for that learning curve on figuring out what your speeds and feeds are for it, because if you go too fast, you're going to snap a bit. If you under-rotate the bit at a lower RPM, you could be breaking them or overheating them, or going too slow, you could overheat them.
Well, then don't you have, if you're cutting aluminum, wouldn't you have to have some kind of a coolant spray on that, or is that just something you can run without a coolant?
I bet Hamilton has an answer. He's over there. He said he'll trade CNC router knowledge for laser knowledge.
Perfect. That's it. Dr. Asus, what's the best bang for your buck fiber laser, Omtech or Mactron?
We've never had an OM-Tech fiber, so we don't have an opinion about them because we haven't had hands-on with it.
But they just got that out too.
They've had them out for a little bit, but
Oh yeah,
But you guys,
it's just not.
I was just going to say, you guys know Mactron, though.
It's not the best bang for your buck.
No,
Mactron's
like buying.
hyper premium. Yeah, that's not. I wouldn't call that like a value machine.
Alex, you've had your SFX, your Mactrons. Alex has 4 Mactrons and then the SFX. Matt, you
SFX
have.
is far closer to a budget machine than.
All my Galvos are Haitian from Pascal Loop.
Dude, from what I can tell, the SFX, their prices are pretty decent. And Alex, you've already checked out their quality.
Yeah, they're high quality for sure.
Yeah.
They're high quality. They are not the cheapest, but they're good. They're very I think we gave them. I don't remember what score we gave it. I'm gonna look it up.
While he's looking that up, I was going to say, I can tell you that these are put together pretty nicely. All the parts are what we did. I've never taken mine apart because I'm not brave enough like these guys.
I'm
I was
with
just
you,
saying,
Matt.
well, yeah, and like mine were cash money. So I'm like, nope.
The SFX with the JPT scored a 9.0, which is excellent. And Kyle gave his Wisely similarly spec'd and priced an 8.9. Both really good options.
A lot of
I
good
think
options.
I think the Wisely is a little more expensive than the SFX.
I think it was. It depends on who's on
prices
sale when and
fluctuate,
stuff. I have a 100-watt lasers only. I have a 5-watt UV from Haoshin as well, and my 60-watt Davi CO2 Galvo is from Haoshin.
I got a
And then
CO2
also
Galvo.
have-
I never stop using that thing all the time.
And then I have a 30-watt Makira, and I have a 20-watt comm marker. For bang for your buck, I think like if you're in the 30-watt range, the Makira would be good too. Haoshin, I think for comparison on cost is about the same, and Wisely has a pretty good value offer on 30-watt too. Just depends on what you're looking for.
I think the 50-watt, I don't know the prices now because I haven't asked in a while, but I think mine was like $4,900 or $5,000, something like that, for the 50-watt JPT with all the stuff that comes with it. Rotary, 2 lenses, blah, blah, blah.
Is it the Makara that we're sending to Matt?
No, it's the comm marker.
Oh, the comm marker, that's right. Do we still like the Makara? We like the Makara.
Yeah, Makira's been great.
That
Yeah.
should be on the buying guide. I don't know.
I love Makara. I love her.
And the bank.
Makara talked trash about you boys at lunch, so
The Makira is on the buying guide. We misspelled the name, but it's on there.
Oh, nice. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Bottom line, go check out the buying guide, guys. If you know you need a fiber and you're trying to decide between fibers, buying guide is excellent. It's
Yeah.
a great place to go.
those are all ones
Yeah.
that you guys have had your hands on over there.
Yeah, and Amanda has been working on rebooting the buying guide and partners page a little bit to make that a little easier to navigate and follow along with. So there'll be some updates over there really soon too.
Also, to answer the question too, the reason why you might see some people supporting or noting specific brands is because that's all we have experience in. It would be pretty silly for us to recommend something we've never had hands-on time with, right? I'm not going to recommend a Lamborghini because I've never driven one or owned one, but I could recommend.
You have to have your feet
I'm not.
really close
I'm not
together.
going to recommend my car. Let me rephrase that because it lit on fire last summer, so we're not doing that. But that's the reality of it. Is we're not going to recommend something we haven't had hands-on time with to validate and put through testing and longevity. So
Usually he gets yelled at by companies. They're like, "Why are you taking our stuff apart?" It's happened
Yeah.
like 3 times because
Yeah.
he's like, Well, I wanted to tell
and it
people
will-
if it's good or not.
And it will continue to happen because we have high standards.
We
And
think.
the other thing I don't want to throw in is if it
Please.
comes down to SFX or Wisely, right? Because they're similarly priced, don't forget to throw in the who has the better customer support, who's more responsive, 'cause if it comes down to-
Unfortunately, they both have excellent customer support.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
it's really. I mean, they look pretty different. You could make
One's
a
a
choice based on look.
9.0, one's
Yeah,
an
one's an
8.9.
8.9. I don't know. Yeah.
That's-
Another thing too is that
That's a good thing,
Wisely's
though.
you have to order off like Alibaba, AliExpress. SFX are available on Amazon. So if you absolutely
sure are.
refuse to import a machine,
Yeah.
you just want to click and buy SFX. There might be a slight edge there, but that would be it. They both have really good customer support. Both Calio and Venus are amazing, and they've gone above and beyond for our subscribers and LMA members. So
Oh, and by the way, just speaking
Really
about
good
that,
experience.
since you guys are talking about the customer service end with Hayocean, literally they've got really great customer service too. I know Kyle had issues with his machine. The issue is they don't have people stateside. They have people who are in China. So when you, like for me, it's 12 hours. I'm on the East Coast. So Pascal and his team are 12 hours ahead of me. So like when it's Tuesday night now, it's Wednesday morning there. So right now is when you'd start to be getting answers from his crew and his texts because they've had a half an hour, I'm assuming, to have coffee or like whatever in the morning getting ready to work.
And
So
I think that's probably true of most of the big Chinese manufacturers.
yeah, that's just a heads up for people because a lot of people are like, which machine do I get? And then they get really mad because I wrote them at 9 a.m. and it's like,
Right.
well, that's their bedtime. So
they're going to bed, dude.
They clocked out 3 hours ago.
so you'll save. So you might save $1,000 or $1,500, but then that's what you're losing is the ability to have like in the moment on that kind of stuff. But if you're somebody who either goes through the Galvo crash course and wants to learn it that way, and you feel pretty confident with your skills, like that's kind of how I did it because I was just like, I need this machine and I need it for this price, and it worked for my budget. So that's another part of the bang for your buck.
So another question here.
Yeah, here we go.
Dave Kennedy, any tips on preventing flashback damage when using a lens with short local focal distance?
Don't
Just raise
mark
it.
things that are hyper reflective, first of all, right?
Offset.
So avoid silvers and coppers if you can. Yet two would be the offset so that your angle bounces away. I mean, that's about it. You don't really have to worry about it too much. The dot size is so small with lenses that have that short of a focal distance that you're really just going to be ablating. So unless you have some kind of hyper reflective material, I wouldn't trip too much. But I mean, when you're that close, always offset. Always do the offset and move the part a little bit, just a little bit off to the side so that you get a little bit of an angle if there is a reflection up towards your face where your safety glasses instead of up into the lens.
I was also going to say, if you're blading that close to a lens, always make sure you have, if you don't have an air, something to help with air, keep it, just because that goes right up onto your lens, the schmut, and you'd be shocked. One time, I'm used to using the 300 and the 200 so often that when I do finally put the 100 on, I go to like do something and I kind of like, I look and I'm like, this is weird. And so I grab one of these, the lens cleaners. Well, here's one of the pieces of the edge of it, but I wipe the lens down and the amount of schmut on it. Oh my God, it's ridiculous.
The
schmut.
And Matt, give me some case samples of what you would use the 100 for.
So I use it for, literally, here's one right here. I got a whole bunch of crap. So I like to use it for coins, right? So these little guys. So this is a stainless steel QR code coin that I've had. That little guy. I wouldn't worry about that little guy, but this little guy, right? This guy actually has some depth to it. So this was a coin I made for my D&D Rogue because I'm a nerd. What are you going to do, right? Then on the back, it's got depth to it. But anyways, the other thing with the 100 I did is like the STL files where you're literally doing like 3D engraving or the 2.5 enhanced engraving, and that 100 is my smallest. So if you've got like a 70 or 100, you're literally 230 millimeters away, which is what, like 5 inches, 4.5 inches, something like that. So basically 4.5 inches off. Think about the ablating that's hitting it because you're engraving, you're nailing it, and those sparks are shooting off like a half an inch to 3/4 of an inch when you're shooting for depth anyways.
That's all I use right now. I have a 200, but I haven't quite figured out how to put the 100 on yet, except that I can't figure out the file. Me and Kyle tried to figure out the core file.
Oh, you're struggling with core file?
No, like me and Kyle sat down and tried to do it, and I looked through all my files, and I have to reach out to my vendor to say, hey man, what's that file X? It doesn't make sense. The 200 didn't work.
So this is where I did, the schmutz. I did an angel, so I was practicing for something I was going to do on like a tombstone type thing for an animal. So that was where it actually engraved the image, but then I did the STL file, and you can kind of, look how deep that is.
Oh yeah, I can see it. That's cool.
That's like the depth of a nickel.
Well, there's a lot of, the same thing is like, think about getting a fiber laser for doing guns. guns.
Hey, buddy.
A laser for engraving metal in general is going to be good for engraving guns, right? It's all the same use case. It's about how you want to utilize it. Size your lens appropriately for your work and your wattage.
I was going to say, make sure with guns too that you understand things like bluing and you understand things like coatings and you understand rust, because it'll look awesome when you give it to them and then they will take it out into the woods for the first time. They don't oil it or whatever, and while they're there, it's going to get rust and whatever else that happens to it. So just be aware of that, because I had a friend of mine who they did some work for him and it messed up his gun, and then now you got to recoat that, and that's not cheap because they don't just touch up your gun. They do the strip it down and do the whole barrel again.
When we have twice as many employees as we have right now, I will hire a big, muscly man with a large beard that kind of looks like Michael to start a second Laser Everything channel for doing firearms, because I know that there's so much to cover there, and it's just too close to the YouTube no line, and we need our channels. So yeah, I just don't want to roll the dice with that here, but someday when we have enough staff and somebody we can dedicate to that, I'd love to have a second channel where we just talk about that, because there's so much to talk about there, not just technique, but legality and process and bureaucracy as well, and being able to kind of document that would be really nice.
Maybe that's something I could do on the socials if I ever do a live. I'm not sure that'll kill us it won't affect the YouTube channel, but we could try it on TikTok or some shit, you know?
Yeah, sure.
Like China don't give a shit if we shoot each other, right?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so.
By the way, there was one question up here. Did you see the one from Bill Bat about the Ruida air pressure shutdown?
Yeah, I was actually looking back up for that one because we actually...
Anyone using Ruida air pressure shutdown safety kit for laser external air? I'm having problems getting ArtieWorks to talk to the Nova 51 using Windows 10.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it just runs off of 12 volt through the controller or whatever, 24 volt or whatever it is. But it's like Ultimate Air Assist, right? So when the Ruida is calling for air assist, it should be opening the valve to allow pressure to flow through.
Little solenoid.
Yeah, I've never done anything with RDWorks. It's always been with Lightburn.
Yeah.
So
I know with maybe there's a toggle, because I know in Lightburn there's a toggle, and if you don't have it clicked to air assist on or off, that's the only thing I got.
But as long as it's wired up properly to the controller, it should be calling for it. And also assuming your solenoid is actually using the voltage that the controller outputs for that. If it's shooting low on that, it may not be triggering.
This is way outside of my purview. I'm question marks over here on that.
Yeah, we gave it a shot.
Call your vendor.
That is the best tips we have so far, since that's kind of we haven't really dove too far down that here yet.
RDWorks, I run away.
There's a Laser of Loves says, those are very cool glasses. Where can they get them?
Are those no wires?
They are.
He just wanted to show off.
I did. They are 7+ optical density.
The big boys.
Do you know what filter they are?
Yeah, well, they're in the range from, I think it's like...
What color are they?
Well, the visible light transmission isn't as good as the ones we have, the OG's one that we have, but I had to get something a little stronger because of a new toy that I got that I haven't really talked about yet.
Are they YG4s?
Did you get a fiber cutter?
YG4s?
They are.
I'm really curious.
Yeah.
YG4.
They look kind of YG4, but I'm also colorblind, so.
Yeah, I feel colorblind wearing these. Everything's like kind of a...
Did you see him reach for his mouse a second ago? He was like,
yeah.
the visible transmission is 3. That's literally like when I put these on, and I'm like, I don't know where I am. Like, have you ever?
They're YG4s. Yeah,
nice.
And they were with tax $264.18.
Who, mama?
So,
how much? 284.
264.
That's not bad though.
It ain't
cheaper than being blind.
It's cheaper than being blind. That's
how much would you pay for vision if you didn't have it? Ken says, do you want to use oil when cutting aluminum? Aluminum doesn't rust, so not really a concern.
I don't know. Was that a question about cutting?
Cutting CNC cutter thing earlier, probably.
Yeah, was that a CNC cutting question or an engraving question?
I was cutting aluminum.
That's a good question.
Usually
earlier.
I think that was right after that was literally right after Hamilton had talked about the CNC knowledge. So I'm assuming they're that.
I don't know. Every time I see him cutting metal, there's usually some kind of coolant or lubricant going on it.
Yeah, CNC cutting has its own rules.
CNC person. We need a paneled CNC member.
I have a guy I know that's he owns a shop I could ask about again.
Aw, Laura's asking.
Thanks, Laura. I'm doing better than I was.
Give me a percentage.
65.
Quantify
the age I feel right now.
65 is pretty good for Kyle. That's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
That's almost an average day.
Almost.
About 5 percentage points short of an average day for Kyle.
Pretty much.
Okay, Mike says, Alex, when you take apart your exhaust rig, can you do a quick video on how you're splitting the
that'd be cool.
When you're in the middle of moving, while you're trying to move, do that, please.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that It's not that complicated, but it's really just.
That'd be a good short though.
I will do that while we're packing to move, but I will also just tell you really quick. So an 8-inch fan that goes to an 8-inch elbow, which reduces to 6 inches, which reduces to 4 inches. It's a big reduction, but that 4-inch then moves to a 3-way split, which has 3 4-inch tubes coming off of it. One that went to the Ranger, one that went to hang over the diodes, and one that went to sit by the Galvo. So there's a really tight bottleneck there, but you're also pulling from 3 areas. And then at the breakaway, at the branch where you have the 3, I have blast gates, 1, 2, 3. So I can just open and close them as needed to make sure I'm maintaining pressure. That's it. It's really that simple. I used a couple like self-tapping screws to get it in place, and then you just duct tape it out of it and call it a day. But I will, a visual would help. So I will definitely.
Michael was so proud when you say you use duct tape to finish it. He literally was like,
you know what I thought when you said that? I was like,
where do you think I learned that from?
I was like, okay, smart ass. So I was like, go cut leather on all 3 machines and we'll see how well your duct tape's holding up.
Duct tape works fine. Duct tape is great. I really love duct tape.
he said leather, like Miranda's just like
it works.
Belinda says, I will be using Lightburn for fiber. Would I still need to install EasyCAD?
I never did for 2 of my machines.
I would, and there's a couple reasons. One, Matt has a lot of practice with these kind of things, and he's pretty good at doing the system setup, where Lightburn will allow you to import a config from EasyCAD if you have that from the factory. So if your laser comes with EasyCAD, I would import the manufacturer's configuration during setup. The second reason I would install EasyCAD is for core file setup. That's your correction file for your lenses. Lightburn has a guide on how to do manual corrections on their YouTube page. It's fine. It works. It takes a really, really, really long time and a lot of patience. Core file, if done correctly, and we have a guide for that on the channel, takes about 15 minutes. So I would really recommend it, and I would never delete it. A lot of people, even if you plan on using Lightburn forever and never going back, I seriously would just like put it on a flash drive somewhere and just like tuck it on a bookshelf or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say I never would delete it though. I don't like to use it, but I have 3 different thumb drives and they're on this table somewhere under the not mess because I don't eat at night and I always have a clean workshop.
We have a comment here from Cubing Crack. It says top 3 diodes on there talking about the buying guide, don't load anymore. I might want to take those off. The links don't work on there.
The reason for that is because
they sold out because of our recommendations.
All of our links on the buying guide are affiliate links. I don't think that's a shocker to anybody, but the company behind those diodes recently switched partners that they're using for their affiliate program. And when they switched partners, it killed all the links. So thank you for pointing that out. I'll have Amanda fix those links. But we'll definitely leave the lasers up. I stand by the lasers. Good machines.
Mike also said, hey, Ocean Wisely SFX in reference to what we were talking about before. Yeah. Yep. Another thing, another pro tip when you're buying a laser, get multiple quotes. It's just a good way to shop. So you know what you're getting. You know, if one company is offering something that another isn't, that's not necessarily a bad or a good thing, but maybe you realize that's something you might want or something you realize you don't need. It's just a good way to sanity check yourself and what you're getting and the price you're paying and where it's coming from and the time frame you're getting it.
I was going to say one thing that like I've kind of helped a couple people when they were like, which one's better? I told them, I was like, well, ask what, say, hey, here's what this company is giving me. Just like you said, here's what, is there anything extra you could toss in? It's a fair question. Just like I think a lot of people see the price tag and they're like, that's what it is. That's what I have to pay. But it's just like any other tool or piece of hardware. They're competing for your business through recommendations or whatever. So for them to throw in like an extra lens that would cost us $100, it might only cost them 25 because they buy them in such bulk. So, one lens to you is a big deal. And to them, it's just grabbing something out of the box and tossing it in, Like I think, Kyle, it's a great point.
Okay. Next question we have here is Hamilton's back with a good one. I have an articulating rotary for my fiber. I'd like to set up a rotary table for a custom part. I'll machine the fixture. How hard is it to set up a custom rotary table in EasyCAD 3?
I've never, let me rephrase that.
I just assume that
used
it's
EasyCAD 3
similar to your EasyCAD 2 experience, Kyle. So do you want to go over that generally really quick, and then maybe we can refer them to the video?
Yeah. So I do have a video coming on both EasyCAD and Lightburn. It's in the edit queue right now. Essentially, setting up a custom rotary table is not super hard. You're telling the software or how frequently your angle is changing, or rather what the angle is changing for every change. If you have a disc at whatever size that you can fit 6 parts onto, or 4 parts, let's say for easy math, your change angle is 90 degrees for 4 parts. You're putting in the setup to basically start the laser on the first piece, and if it's lined up on the first piece and it rotates 90 degrees, it's going to be perfectly lined up for the second piece. In terms of the difference between EasyCAD 3, EasyCAD 2, and Lightburn, I can't say how different EasyCAD 3 is.
So the only difference really for EasyCAD 3 compared to EasyCAD 2 as far as rotary goes is the initial setup, getting the rotary to work. If you have that down already, you're good. All you're doing is changing, I believe it uses the A axis. So you have to go into your F3 param and activate the A axis under the rotary settings in F3 param. That's different from EasyCAD 2. Outside of that, the rest of the rotary guide that we have on the channel applies, and from there, you can follow Kyle's live stream. I just posted a link in chat. It's 2 hours of Kyle literally from scratch building exactly what you're talking about. He does it in Lightburn, but you can do it in EasyCAD 3. You know, the controller's more or less the same at the end of the day. You're going to be able to follow those directions and come up with something productive.
Was that our Friday live day that we did, or is that the one where it was just you?
No, you were with me on that.
Yeah, you were there. Yeah.
Yeah, because I had mine already pre-made, and mine has 8, and we were kind of showing people the math between the two.
Mine, I screwed up the center, so the 2 layers didn't properly turn to perfectly line up, but I did correct the file on that. So if you go to the community site, I believe I linked it in the video. If you go to the updated file, you can see the change I made. You have access to the file. I can tell you between Lightburn and EasyCAD 2, it is almost identical when you do the rotary marking on a jig. EasyCAD 3 shouldn't be all that different.
Yeah, it was cool watching you make that.
I just like how he was like the stuff that I never touch is the stuff that Kyle was like, so real quick, if you're trying to make something like this, you just click this, click that, and it was like, broop, and there was a fanned array of stuff, and I'm like, I never do that. I don't touch that thing.
Blonde Fox said they're the same to E2 Laser, who asked, what is the difference of a fiber laser and a fiber galvo laser, or are they the same? Go check out Galvo Lasers 101. It's one of our most viewed videos on our channel, and it will explain the difference to you between galvo lasers and gantry lasers. Gantry lasers run on a gantry, like a gantry crane, and galvo lasers are projected through a lens down onto the workspace. You can have a bunch of different kinds of galvo lasers, like a galvo CO2 laser or a galvo UV laser. So when you say fiber galvo laser, you're just describing the type of galvo laser that's being used, in that case, a fiber. So yes, Blonde Fox is absolutely correct. They're the same thing. Galvo fiber laser is just more descriptive.
It's like someone who says ATM machine, even though they don't need the word machine in there, because that's the end.
Well, to be fair, there are gantry fiber laser systems. Michael's Fusion, which doesn't have a fiber laser core in it, but they make them with them. And Utech recently came out with fiber laser gantry system as well. So that is a thing, and in some cases you need to specify, but generally when people are talking about fiber lasers, they're talking about galvo fiber laser. So,
we gotta shout out Hamilton. He says, "Huge thanks, guys. Is it okay if I shout y'all out when I post my videos showing it all?"
I wish you would.
Kyle,
don't forget to mention the Laser Master Academy. If you guys haven't already signed up, it's the #1 way to support the channel. We want to make sure we can keep coming back around and doing what we love to do. The only reason we're able to do that is thanks to everybody over at the LMA. You can find out more about that over at masters.lasereverything.net.
What's the largest lens you can use for a fiber?
And what's the difference between a fiber and a galvo CO2?
I've seen people talk about it 400.
Largest lens you can have for a fiber depends on your wattage. They make 1,000 millimeter lenses. It's ridiculous that they shoot across a room to mark plates that are as tall as you, but they're on like 600 watt lasers, so you have to have the wattage to back that up, because the larger the lens, the larger your dot size. Again, I'm going to point you to the Galvo Lasers 101 episode where we talk about this in depth. The larger the lens, the larger the dot size. The larger the dot size, the more spread out that wattage is. So it's going to behave like a less powerful laser. If you have a 20 watt laser and you put a 300 millimeter lens on it, it's not going to do anything because that power's just too spread out. If you take the same 300 millimeter lens and you put that on an 80 watt MOPA, it's going to start an aluminum fire. You can get a lot more out of that 300 millimeter lens that way. So there's not a theoretical limit. It's just you have to have the power to back that up. And the difference between a fiber and CO2 galvo is the fiber is 1064 nanometer wavelength beam. The CO2 is a 10,600 nanometer wavelength beam. They're both infrared, but the fiber's shorter wavelength makes it better for marking things like metals, whereas the CO2's longer wavelength makes it better for working with organics like wood, glass, acrylic, leather, things like that. That's CO2 in general. Galvos, and this is, again, Galvo Lasers 101. Go watch this episode, guys. It's really great if you haven't seen it. Galvos are typically pulsed lasers. So when you're looking at a Galvo CO2 versus a gantry CO2, the Galvo CO2 is going to be really good at doing things like wood and removing coating from metals like powder coat, super duper fast, but it's not going to do well with transparent materials like glass and acrylic because it's pulsed. For that, you really need a continuous wave laser. That would be something like a glass or RF tube CO2. Those are much more capable of working with transparents, especially, again, glass and acrylic. So you'll see limited, if any, success with a Galvo CO2 on those transparent materials. Sorry, that was a little bit of a tangent, but there was a lot there in a simple question. So I want to make sure we cover that.
I was going to say, didn't we look at like online one night, those giant lasers that are the size of like a garage?
Yeah.
That's where they need the lens for like that. And it's literally like
those were the Sinrad
Phoenix.
CO2s.
Yeah, like the Phoenix or something. And it was like literally Alex was like, you could walk under this and it would just be like.
Have you been there, Michael?
Where is this?
Sinrad?
No, I've never been to Sinrad.
Go check out their website, bro.
Okay.
It's like they make lasers that you'd find in like our CO2, like my CO2 Galvo, the Mac.
Yeah, I know who Sinrad is, but
so they have it was called like the Blade or something like that, and it's basically like this gigantic, like the source to the UV laser was as big as this room that I'm in right now, and then it had a bunch of modules coming out.
Like a steering wheel
shot a curtain of just UV beam down at the ground that they use for sweeping over things, and it rotates. It's it's ridiculous.
Okay.
Yeah,
that sounds awesome.
Good thing you bought those new glasses, buddy. Go check it out.
If you guys haven't been to Sinrad's website, go poke around on that just for fun.
If you've got $1.8 million just burning a hole in your pocket like an aluminum fire,
you'll have a down payment for one of those lasers.
I was about to say, you can buy half of one.
Next question.
Look at the big brain on Brad. Sorry. So sorry, I had to do it.
Now you're going to say some F words if you start quoting that. I can't do that. Okay. What kind of lens is good for mostly cutting on a CO2 gantry? I'm reading a 4-inch nozzle is best, but I'm getting mixed info.
Michael and Matt, you're up. You guys.
Yeah, man. Just use a 2-inch lens. You're fine. Don't get all crazy with the 4-inch lens is good for, I mean, how well's your air assist going to work with the 4-inch lens? You're going to have to get real close to that cutting line. You're fine. I mean, I'm going to keep it short. Just use the 2-inch lens. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've cut through a 3/4 inch board with my 2-inch before, right? So I mean, but I've got 150 watts.
Oh,
but I mean, it's not like I do it all the time. But there was one time I literally was just like, I wonder if this will cut a circle through this, and it did. And I was like, oh shit. But the other thing is, like he said, the air assist was at like 60 or 70 pounds. I mean, that's the other thing too, is if you've got the 4-inch, you need to make sure you've got the tubing to support the air you're going to need to do that thick stuff. But most stuff is going to be a 1/2 inch or less, which if depending on your wattage. And that's the other thing too. I will say the 4-inch will give you more bang for your buck if you've got on the lower end. That'd be about it though.
See, I tried using a 4-inch lens to cut in through a 1/2 inch MDF. I just couldn't get through it. I only got 90 watt though. So
the other thing too is like if you're cutting acrylic, that's one thing. I still think the 2-inch is the best, honestly.
I read early on, man. I looked at like, oh, look at this guy who's cutting with a 4-inch lens on acrylic. I must have to use that, and I went and tried it and I was like, wow, this is like flaming up all over the place. My air assist's far away from it. I don't see any point in this. I mean, Alex, I don't know if you've probably covered on one of your videos, just the basics of, how the intersection of the beam, is much more forgiving with the 4-inch lens. You have
Galvo Lasers 101.
There you go.
Same. So it's
watch that.
Galvo lasers in that case, but the intersection point and the depth of field is totally relevant. Yep.
Right. And those are very relevant with the 4-inch and the 2-inch lens as well, even on the gantry. And there's pluses and minuses to having a more forgiving space before it starts to go out of focus.
And by the way, if you're still having trouble, like Boyce said, it could literally just be the material, because the piece of wood that I cut with the 2-inch was a really primo piece of material. Like if you're cutting MDF and you're cutting stuff that's glued together
You ain't
and it's
into
the
that
cheap
shit.
stuff,
Cutting through the wood isn't the problem; it's the glue.
it's hitting glue. Dude, there was literally one time where I found like a piece of aluminum inside of one. Like, because like you gotta realize they're getting put together at a factory, just falls in. There was one time I found a cigarette butt in the middle of my plywood. Just sweep that in there real quick. So just saying, that's when I bought stuff from like Home Depot and everything. And now there's places like, if you're near, or even if you're not there, H&H Wood. I mean, go back and look at the Got Wood video. We listed a whole bunch of different places that we all buy stuff from.
This question is really important. How many watts am I going to need to pop an 8-foot Jiffy Pop popcorn bowl in my house from a moving airplane at 30,000 feet?
That's going to be at least 25.
Watts.
Easy.
Yeah.
Also, what lens are you using?
I think the Cave 40 might be overkill.
I mean, is there air assist?
Glad we got that sorted.
I got a couple lined up here. Do you guys update the library for the 80-watt fiber from time to time? We update all the libraries from time to time.
From time to
as
time.
we add
From time
materials.
to time.
So if, for example, we do a project on the channel and it involves a new material, we work with that material on the laser, it's going to end up on the material list and go into the next update.
We've been a channel for a really long time, and we've added many, many settings to those libraries, which are only so great at being converted. So as time goes on, there's less and less common materials that we're going to interact with that will make it into the library, and thus updates will become less frequent. It's not because we don't want to, or we have settings reserved somewhere, or they're inaccessible. It's
Super
just that
secret sauce.
the libraries are pretty freaking filled out, guys, for getting started. Everybody's working with different lasers from different places with different materials and things like that. So it's definitely updated from time to time, but the regularity of the updates is certainly not going to be what it used to be. On top of that, also, I'm really looking forward to, Kyle has been working very closely with Amanda. We have our customer project database on the website. So if you go to lasereverything.net/downloads, you can download a bunch of different projects uploaded by all of our users on and off the LMA. Everything there is free for everybody. And you can go check that out right now. We are working diligently, and by we, I mean Kyle and Amanda, to bring you guys a settings database that will be similar in functionality. So anybody can just pop in. It's going to ask you a couple of questions. What size lens are you using? What type of laser is it? Who manufactured your source? You might put in your machine stats. We're still kind of ironing out the here's and there's of it, but the idea will be that you can go on there, you can put in what laser you have, and it will give you settings from other users with the same exact setup, which should make getting settings for things much easier. And we're really excited to host that on the Laser Everything website for you guys. So that's something that Kyle and Amanda have been working on getting right for a long time, and that is something you guys can look forward to down the road.
I did get a question about this, and it's kind of relevant to this question too, and what we said about the libraries being converted. I recently got a question about if the fiber library will be converted to CO2 Galvo at some point, and also CO2 gantry library being converted to the CO2 Galvo. And the reality is the science in converting those isn't the same in the way that it's one-to-one when you go from one fiber source to another, or not exactly one-to-one, but it's the way we convert it as a basic starting point is much more straightforward. It's not
Kyle's saying there's math that will take you from my fiber laser to Kyle's fiber laser, but there is not math that's going to take you from my fiber laser to Kyle's CO2. That's you
vice versa.
Yeah, you can't just plug in an equation and be like, okay, boom, here it is. They're completely different wavelength lasers. They're not even the same physically, like on a physics level. The wavelength of the light is different. Voice does understand physics, emergencystop.net. So they're not. It's not a thing that you can like just kind of proof out.
And to add to that too, even going from a glass tube CO2 gantry to a pulsed RF tube through like on a gantry with a 2-inch lens versus a CO2 with a 100 millimeter Galvo lens. It's just, they're very, very different. It's not an easy thing to do or even within our ability.
Look at Laura's question, one of you. Anyone listen to the video I posted on the Facebook
I'm looking
page
for it
while
right now.
whistling? If you find it, Matt, share it. Put it on
right.
the screen. We'll watch it together.
Lara.
Lara.
While he's looking for that, I still have 2 more queued up.
Lara Craft.
Dave says, have you considered adding PayPal as a payment method to LMA?
Can't. That's not.
Yeah, it's not an option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the workaround that I suggest is, and I haven't heard any complaints, but I haven't had any confirmations either. Buy a Visa gift card. It should work just like a credit card, and you can put money in on that if you don't want to or cannot gain access to a credit card. I've asked Mighty Networks, who is the service provider for the LMA, more times than I care to count to add PayPal as a payment method, and they have chosen not to do that up to this point. So completely out of our hands. We get that question every 3 or 4 days, and I understand that PayPal is highly requested, but it's just not something that we can offer because it's out of our hands. It's literally something we can't control. So my advice would be buy a prepaid like Visa gift card. You can do the annual subscription, so you just buy it once. You don't have to buy a Visa gift card over and over again. Buy the year. If you really want to support the channel, sign up. That would be the way to do it. And I think that's been working for people. We should actually test that. We should have one of us kind of create a dummy account and see if that actually works, because nobody's ever come back to me like that doesn't work.
I've had a couple of people who had card issues in other countries because of international, their bank didn't like the purchase.
Yeah.
So they ended up going with a gift card, and they said it worked fine.
Perfect. So that would be the alternative.
Matt, the missus says she tagged you on the video about.
Yeah, I hear it. I hear it definitely whistling. What the hell?
There we go.
Hold on, it's gonna happen again.
Oh, right, the whistling.
So loud in my ears. Okay, that's enough of that.
My question is, I did see this video. My question is that the only material that it does that on? If the answer is yes, whatever, that's annoying.
Material.
If the answer is no, check your air hose lines and make sure you don't have a leak somewhere where you're getting kind of like a high pressure squeal out of one of the connectors or something like that.
But if a whistle stuck in it, that could be also a problem.
A whistle jammed into the honestly,
Thank God for voice beings here tonight.
I'm not there.
Physics, baby.
I'm not there, so I can't tell if it's the material or not. But if it is that material and it's only that material, materials make weird sounds sometimes.
Dude,
it's not.
Yes. So when I cut 1/8 acrylic, nothing. When I cut 3/16 smoky gray, which is 2027 is the number on it, the item number, it literally goes bink. And it's just because it's the expansion and melting and everything all happening once, thermodynamic reaction, and then every time it just keeps going the whole time. And it's the most annoying sound, but I'm just like, it's money.
It does that with several types of materials, Miranda says.
Maybe it's the air hose, like a pin leak, right?
Pin leak or something.
So what I was going to say is what I've done when I had a pin leak in mine, I actually took Dawn dish detergent and put some in water. Just like when you're doing, if you've ever worked on your air conditioning to see if it's leaking at the coolant or whatever, right? Literally you just spray it at the connectors, and I kind of just let it go down and see if there was any bubbles.
I had to do that with my truck's exhaust.
Yeah, so as silly as it sounds, you could have it running. And by the way, you don't have to actually have the laser doing it, put it to minimal power, drop the bed a whole long distance down, as long as you can easily see your air tube. Yeah. And then it's running and have your air, I put mine on 40 pounds so that it was very audible. Mm-hmm. And then I just took duct tape. Sorry, Michael. Michael's like, fucking duct tape. I mean, you could also get a hose clamp too. Yeah.
If it isn't the hose and it's the material, material makes weird sounds sometimes.
Someone earlier asked a question about the coin that I used, and I don't know how we missed it, but I literally was just scrolling through and saw it. They had asked, what's the thickness of the coin that I used, and it's 1/8 of an inch. So this is a Bui Swiss. I'm guessing that's his name. Bui.
I think it's Bui.
Swiss. And so if you just type in BUI Swiss.
There's a link on lasereverything.net.
Right, I was going to say, that'll get you there. Or if Miranda or somebody wants to put that up, I'll do it. But yeah, they're great coins, and they're made here in America. Steel, brass, copper.
Good stuff. On the edges? 3 millimeter if you're into metric. I think that's 31.5 millimeters wide or something.
Yeah, by the way, that is the maximum he can make his coins. So that's because I've had people ask that before when we were doing live chats. Why can't he make it bigger? Why can't he make it 40? It's just he's got a micro lathe, which he actually used to make micro parts for. And then he started realizing, people like high quality. And these are super high quality too. They're very, very nice.
They are very nice.
And he's a super nice guy too.
Additionally, if you would like some larger coins, they're more expensive, but Umbry makes larger coins. So if you want some larger coins and you're okay with spending a little more, Umbri is also really high quality. And both of those links are available here on our suppliers page, which I am posting into chat for you guys. It's lasereverything.net/links/suppliers if you're listening.
So which laser source is good? Max, Rakis, or JPT? Depends on what you're doing and what you're using it for. For some people, they don't need to spend the extra to get what they need done. If you're just doing basic engraving, maybe a Max or a Rakis is good. If you're doing specialized materials or working with something specific, or you're looking to do color or something else, maybe a JPT is better for you. And even going a step beyond that, all three of these vendors, I believe, are getting into the MOPA space, Max and Rakis. JPT's been in that space, but Max and Rakis are starting to put out MOPA sources too. That's an ever-evolving question. And it really comes down to just the good source, the right source is very dependent on what you're doing with it and what you want to achieve.
I generally just say, do you want to cut things? Not that you should be cutting with a Galvo laser, but if you want to cut things or do really deep engravings, get a Rakis. If you want to do more like kind of fine detail or fine temperature control type work, like annealing, Z marks, colors, things like that, get the JPT. The Rakis and the JPT are both really good, high quality brands. So you can't really pick poorly between the two, but they do have their strengths and weaknesses.
Well, I do think that's about all the questions we caught up.
Okay. Have any of you guys, GZ Tech? Yeah, we have a GZ Tech. I don't know if any of the companies we work with have started using them yet. I know Mactron knows that company, like people that run it and the people that run Mactron, and they're like friends. But I don't think I've seen any of GZ Tech's sources implemented on something that's on the shelf yet. Poor Tina. Tina keeps messaging me on WhatsApp like once a month, asking when the fiber laser build project is going to start. I didn't plan on having a baby this summer. It just happened. I'm sorry, Tina, if you're watching. We will be working on that, though. That's something I'm very passionate about. Now that we have editors, it will be a lot easier for me to get kind of started on that. Also, Kyle and I have a little bit left to do for the marketplace, and there should be some news on that soon. And when that's done, that's a big thing that eats up my time when I'm not editing, which I'm doing far less of now. So now that that's off my plate, my focus is shifting to the marketplace. I want to get that up, launched, and then we can start looking at like some fun new projects and stuff. I'm going as fast as I can. The new baby boy, Oliver, is due in 10 days, and our official move-in date is in 17. So we're moving like 7 days after this baby is due, and they could happen on the same day. Who knows? So I'm almost out of this. Imagine? I cannot. I'm almost out of this black hole, guys. And when I'm out, then things will kind of pick up pace a little bit.
If this happens, Miranda's moving. You guys are moving, and Miranda picks up one box.
Miranda's not picking up nothing.
So I mean, like it'd be just crazy.
She just has to stand up, and that's it. Boom.
Yeah, like what are you doing,
Amanda's,
She's like, I don't know.
Miranda's already got like a small toddler in her. She's not allowed to lift.
Michael, do you want to give the quick version of the Mullins 35 story?
Yeah, that's actually my dad's. My dad was a really big Bears fan, and my dad passed away a few years ago. And for Christmas, I got that from him. As you do, you collect your parents' things, and my wife snuck it from my stuff and actually put it in that frame.
Oh, that's super sweet,
and
man.
had it mounted. So my dad he was the big Bears fan, and so that's just a way to remember him. It was one of his favorite things up there. And I think 35 was like one of his favorite players in the Bears.
Also, do all the normal stuff. Smash the like button if you got value out of this one, guys. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next time we go live. If you haven't already, go subscribe to Laser Engraving 911. I just saw you got a new video up over there, Michael. What's that one on?
Yeah, that one is how to make circles look like circles on cups.
That's a big deal. That's
a big deal.
Oh,
yeah,
I just went through that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta watch that.
It's a great episode, and it's exactly the kind of that we're used to seeing from Michael over at Laser Engraving 911. So go subscribe to that right away. You can either search it at Laser Engraving 911, I believe, or we have a link to his channel on our channel homepage as well. So make sure you see that. I don't know. Go buy some merch. We need to do some better merch. But yeah, you got that Burn to Learn shirt. Dude, I'm so mad. I've been big black Burn to Learn hoodie. I put it through the washer on hot.
What an idiot.
It did not like that.
Blew it out, didn't it?
At all. Shout out to Laura hooking it up with that super figure. Thank you so much, Laura. We
Laura.
appreciate it. Vince is asking before we leave, what's Michael's new toy? Do we have details on that yet, or is it a classified?
Is it deep
situation?
wraps?
It's pretty classified. This is the only hint that you're getting.
Okay, well, it's YG5. Yeah, it's YG5. So something in the fiber. It's a 1064 thing.
Tell it's fiber cutter. It's fiber
Interesting. Maybe it could be a cleaner. Could be a welder. Could be a welder.
The welder would be dope as shit.
A welder. So there's a lot of things that he could be around with over there, and that's all the more reason to subscribe to him. This is going on and on and on. I'm trying to close the show.
If you have questions, bring them next week.
Go listen to Emergency Stop if you haven't already. emergencystop.net. Keep an eye on the website. Sign up for all the things. Do all the stuff. Check out the LMA. I love you guys, and we will see you in the next one.
We'll be right back.